Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the recap and review of NCIS Season 13, Episodes 18, 19, and 20. I really liked these episodes, so you know what? We're just gonna start talking about them. So Scope was the 300th episode of NCIS, which is such an amazing milestone. It's so wonderful, and you know what? I dug it. So this was one of those episodes that reminds you how kind of depressing a lot of Gibbs's life is. It's basic NCIS understanding that his wife and his daughter were murdered, and then there's been a series of events that have kind of dominoed from that. We know in every episode that's still part of his life, but it's not really something we focus on. And then episodes like this come along and remind you that Gibbs probably goes home, it's a raw steak, stares at the fire for 7 hours, and then passes out on the couch. And it's kind of upsetting to think about. This episode was about him connecting with this Marine and also beginning to work through some of his own issues with the help of Taft and his new therapist. It also reminds you that he sleeps on the couch because the bedroom was him and Shannon's place. And that's just so soul-crushing to remember. And as much as I'm not the biggest fan of Taft and the therapist character in and of themselves, I do really appreciate that it looks like they're helping Gibbs move forward. Like at the end of the episode, he goes back in the bedroom, and that's so nice that he has this kind of motivation to start moving forward again. And I would just love to see his life start to get better and kind of move forward, and even in just tiny increments, which is I think the only way he kind of can do that at this point. It would just be wonderful. McLila. Woo! Someone's looking at some rocks, I see. My son is growing up. I like McGee and Delilah a lot. I am happy to see them moving in this direction. I can't really say I'm surprised that this is happening. So lovely and happy. And from this point on, I feel like it'll either end up with them getting married or breaking up, so hopefully the first one. This was kind of a little hiccup in the steady stream of DiNozzo material we've been getting lately, but I think this being the 300th episode, it made a lot of sense that it was centered around Gibbs and the Marines. Even though NCIS has certainly changed a lot in the last 300 episodes, I felt like this gave a nice idea of what NCIS has kind of always been about, and I appreciated that. I liked it. Reasonable Doubts is about Tony and his father, and then this woman comes up to Senior and is like, "You're my father." That's like the main plot point here. It just leads to some really genuinely heartwarming scenes. Even the case, which was like the mistress versus the wife, who did it, I felt genuinely interested in. I genuinely did care for these characters and what they were going through. Spoiler alert! The woman ends up having terminal cancer, and so Senior ends up just being her father for the rest of her life, which I think they only gave her about like a month. I don't even want to give away the ending scene. It's just so touching and beautiful. It shows Tony watching from the wings as his father is showing this incredible compassion to this basically complete stranger he's just met a couple days ago. I thought the case was interesting. Tony doesn't automatically assume the wife is a guilty, ruthless murderer, for like the first time. There's a scene that people did pick up on where it looks like Tony's learning Mandarin, and I think we also saw some of this in the season 13 premiere with him and Agent Teagues. He kind of demonstrated an ability to speak what I believe was Mandarin. So I don't know. A lot of people are assuming that has to do with Tony's farewell arc, which we will see rather soon. But even the relationship with Tony and his father has come so far, and I love seeing how it's progressed. And Tony, Tony has food in his fridge now because he makes his father dinner and he has little freaking Tupperware containers. And it just makes me want to cry. That's the part of the episode that hit me the most, is that Tony has Tupperware containers of food in his fridge that he makes for other people when they come to visit him. Because season 10, when he first had his father to his apartment, his fridge was practically empty. I think it just had like alcohol in it, and now it has food. It has food. This was just such a good episode. I really liked it. I loved it, actually. That's the word I'm looking for. I loved this episode. So that brings us to Charade. When this was advertised, and even in parts of the episode, it's all about like, uh-oh, here come the phony Tonys. What are we gonna do? And it's all fun and games until the phony Tonys actually show up and they're like, your life is worthless and you're a disappointment in every conceivable way. That's when it starts to lose some of its whimsy. The humor in this episode is really meta, but I think the episode can best be described in this line where Tony's kind of like, you know, it's weird because my identity's been stolen, but I also feel like I've actually lost my identity, like who I am as a human being. And this is happening in the midst of a top 10 McNozo scene. It just works so well because it's this tiny vignette of their entire relationship. Because they're kind of teasing each other, but then in the end Mickey is like, well, you're also kind of one of my best friends. And it's so nice. They're just so brotherly, and I'm gonna miss seeing that relationship so much. There's also a scene in which the fish get brought up again. You know, like the sad women fish. Abby's there for it this time. Like, she knows all about it. Does the fact that people know about these fish make it more or less strange? The jury's still out. And then there's a line where Tony calls out Ziva Fish for putting on some weight. And I think he did that a couple episodes back to Kate Fish. And I'm not sure if it's the same fish or if he can actually like tell them apart. And I don't know if it serves any significance beyond Tony just telling his fish they need to make some better lifestyle choices. But I'm interested to see if it goes anywhere else. What a strange foreshadowing device. Leia from the 299th episode, After Hours, turns out to be like out to get Genozo. Her henchmen are the ones who call out Tony for having no wife and kids. Tony's father actually pointed that out the episode before, that he kind of still hopes he has kids. I sense the idea of family being a theme in Genozo's future. Does it have to do with the finale arc? Only time will tell. There seems to be an identity crisis arising within Tony. It somewhat mirrors Ziva's finale arc to an extent. With Ziva, she kind of had a general outline of who she wanted to be, and she thought that who she was at that point in time wasn't really fitting those bullet points. Tony just seems generally lost. I'm wondering if the finale arc will explore that. I kind of hope it does. In these past couple episodes, we've opened some doors in Tony's character that I'd love to see us explore more. I think they have too much potential, and I don't think they should be wasted. It would be really neat to explore in his character's final episodes, so I am looking forward to see what they do with that. Speaking of Tony's character, back in that episode when he was like revealing pictures of the pets, and he was like seducing women with pianos and hats, even though it was funny, I was kind of like, this is very season 2 Tony for season 13 Tony to be like dabbling in. But I'm glad that it went somewhere. I feel like the fact that it had a point validates his actions, because he kind of realized, like, you know what, this has been a charade, like the way I'm acting, like, who am I? It led to him having some kind of growth or potential for growth, which I'm glad exists. I'm glad that he has acknowledged that and is looking to move forward. So that about wraps up these recaps and reviews. I'm really intrigued and excited to see where this finale arc takes us, which is kind of a mixed bag of emotions because on one hand I'm really excited to see these episodes, but I'm also dreading that like final moment where it's like, okay, well, Tony's gone. Speaking of finale season, I don't know if you guys saw, but TV Line released their annual May Sweeps scorecard. I'll link it below, but it gives a bunch of blanks under each category, like 10 characters are dying, 10 characters are having a baby. And I was thinking that I might do a video where I go through the scorecard and kind of theorize where NCIS might fit into some of these blanks. So if that's a video you guys might want to see, let me know in the comments. Other than that, I'm very excited to talk to you guys more about the finale arc. So I will see you guys for the spoilers and theories video for NCIS Season 13, Episode 21.